Hey guys, Vengeful Shadows here. Today we're going to be giving you a quick video about a neat little card I've been messing around with putting in a few of my decks, and honestly, I've been in love with this thing. Since I read it, kind of picked up a few, but after introduction of stuff like Forbidden Droplets, it's honestly gained a lot of momentum, alright? So we're going to hop right in, because honestly, this thing's just too good. And that is nothing other than Condemned Witch. And right now, um, it's been seeing like this isn't like a market watch video. It's more of a video of this card is just really good. Okay, and Condemned Witch, like I said, pretty base card, but it is a level 4 fairy, 100 attack, 2000 defense, and it's a dark. All right, so that's kind of cool. It's a dark fairy. We don't have a bunch of those in the game, but the ones we do, they're really strong. All right. And her first effect is really good. When this card is normal summoned, you can add one forbidden quick play spell from your deck to your hand. Right? And as we know, the forbidden quick play spell cards in this game are insane, and they just keep getting better. Alright, so when she's normal, you add a chalice, you add lance, dress, scripture. Right now, you're adding droplets, let's be real. Alright, and then for the second effect, during your opponent's main phase, as a quick effect, you contribute this card, special summon one level 4 fairy monster from your deck, except Condemned Witch, and you can only use each effect of Condemned Witch once per turn, alright? So that's pretty standard amongst a bunch of stuff right now. And for the most part, we're going to go over the effects kind of point by point to see like what we're going to be working with today. All right, as far as Condemned Witch goes, we're not going to go over every target that she can pull from the deck because there's a lot of ones that we just don't want to go with. But we're going to go over a bunch that are pretty good. Once again, guys, if you're liking what you're seeing at all, drop a like. We got the YouTube, which you're watching on probably. We got the Twitter as well as a Twitch that we do some streams for. Okay, some duels, but as you can see, mainly Destiny. All right. So we're going to go into the effects of Condemned Witch. As we said, when it is normal summoned, you get any of the Forbidden Quick Play spells from the deck in the hand, alright? So right now, Forbidden Droplets is just super big in the meta, being able to out a bunch of stuff that negates your board, because if you pitch a monster, they can't respond, or you respond to them negating a card, because if you activate something like, right now, if you activate Pot of Desires or Extravagance or any spell card, and your opponent tries to negate it with their monster effect, you can chain droplets, sending the card that you just activated to negate their card, negating your effect, and then still resolving your effect and drawing two. So it's just using resources you're already sending to the graveyard as secondary resources, which is huge in this game. All right. As well as being able to send cards that already get graveyard effects triggered, or sending things like Outglitch, like traps that you can banish and stuff, or the Golden Lord so you can revive it. Like there's a bunch of things nowadays like droplets can send, like that, can benefit. As we know, it's super big in the meta, super big in Science decks. Like I don't have to introduce you to what droplets is, but Condemned Witch immediately lets you search out that droplets, which is honestly like really huge. Speaking of which, do my Forbidden Chalice, alright? But the cool part about that too is 9 times out of 10 in testing, and I'm going to be honest, even while going first, like I'll summon Condemned Witch, I'll activate the effect to search, and it will get impermanence. Like people do not want you searching that droplet, so it basically gets negated like a lot, which is fine, because for me, the secondary effect is what really gets the light card and like to that top status. All right, and once again, that is during the opponent's main phase. So this card is not going to be something you activate like this effect. That's not a your turn effect. Okay, this is strictly during the opponent's turn, during their main phase. Okay, and keep in mind they get a window to do something. Okay, so you can't just be like, oh, main phase pop. Like they're gonna have a window to like do a response. Okay, and then for a quick effect, you contribute this card as a cost. Okay, so it's tributed, it's gone. Special summon one level 4 fairy monster from your deck. Okay. And once again, hard once per turn, and accept itself. So we're going to go over a few targets that are really good for Condemned Witch, that have some testing and just some that are just like neat little call outs. So first one, I'll be real, this is kind of a bias for a deck I've been playing, but that is the Nurse Reficule, the Dark Lord Nurse Reficule. So it's a level 4 fairy. Okay, so it's a target for Condemned Witch to summon the deck. Nurse Burn right now, it's a deck I've been kind of like working on, and it's a super strong deck. There's a lot of consistencies that have been added over the years, such as Trap Trick, Desires, Extravagance. We have literally Card of Demise, things like that have like really upped the game of the consistency in Yu-Gi-Oh! So decks like Nurse Burn can honestly get their FTKs off relatively like well. Like pretty consistent, and if it's not first turn kill, you're dying on 2-3 turns in. And then Mystic Mine only makes it worse if it doesn't draw into the kill. You're just going to be sitting there anyways on a board that you can't use. So decks where you can summon the witch, search yourself a negate card like Droplets that's going to disrupt anything disrupting your OTK is super strong, and then you immediately get a searcher for your boss monster. So it's a plus. I mean, that's a two for right there. So like that's just super big in resources, as well as just once again being able to bring out your boss monster. So I think Nurse Burn with Witch is a pretty good call. All right, especially if you're not gonna just go the spell card banishments, which searches it, because like that's super easy to get rid of. I mean, you're gonna get Ash. I mean, this thing can still get negated, but I feel like Witch almost like is harder to get negated, as well as it has the quick effect to tribute itself off, so it almost like protects your monster because it's still in deck until after like certain threats are already gone. Um, some other targets that we're gonna go over, and this one honestly is probably actually the best one, and that's Barrier Statue of the Heavens. Level 4 fairy, 1,000,000, but neither player can special summon monsters except light monsters. So honestly, I'm just going to change this real quick. It's been a build I've been working on. I'm probably going to do a deck little review over it, and it has been testing really, really well. And it's Dogmatica Golden Lord, like with Witch in it, and it's been testing super crazy well. They're all lights. Golden Lord's coming out as lights. You get all sorts of disruption, and then like the nail in the coffin, like for like decks like this, and you can splash this as in other builds, and that's kind of like what I'm getting at with the Witch is you contribute it off to special summon something out during their main phase, like Barrier Statue of the Heavens. So they immediately are cut out of their special summons unless they're playing like Cyber Dragons or something, which kind of prevalent right now that we got the new deck out. So, you got the Witch, summon it, get droplets, so you get to free negate, set it, set a bunch of back row. Back row decks are getting into like the format right now. Like I said, Liches are coming back, all that stuff. And then you just pop into a barrier statue with a bunch of protection. Like your opponent's not going to be able to do a ton against that. Honestly, in testing, the moment the statue comes out, a lot of people quit. Like they just end the game right there. We're going around 2, or if that's like not after like it's game 3. If they start playing light decks like Cyber Dragons and stuff, we still have another target, which is Aurora Paragon. Aurora Paragon, I believe, came out with like the first Monarch like structure deck, like with Caius or something. Like if I'm correct, I might totally be wrong on that. But anyways, it's level 4 fairy, 1,500 attack, so perfect for the witch target. Neither player can special summon monsters. That includes you. Okay, so it locks both players out of monster special summons. But the downside as well from affecting you is when another monster is normal summoned to either player's side of the field, destroy this card. So you're locked out of your normal summons because it will kill it. So you can still perform it, but it will just kill the Paragon, and then your opponent can kill it by normal summoning. Isn't the complete worst because normally they normal summon immediately or try to normal summon. You can witch, go into the Paragon. Now they're locked until they kill the Paragon or until the following turn. But this is just a decent little tech card. Like I said, if they're playing a light deck and you're maining the barrier statue, you need to side it out for something that's going to like keep them from special summoning. So there's Paragon. Cool little card. Another guy I'm a huge fan of, I even tech it sometimes, like in the build I was just showing you, is Bountiful Artemis. And Counter Fairies a few years back, and for a while, like going back, like they keep kind of like having a resurgence in the meta. And right now, I feel like is a really good time for them. Like I said, we're going to resources. The Counter Fairy is a really big resource based deck. Condemned Witch, you summon it, get the droplets. It's +1 right there. You tribute it off, go into Artemis. Once again, you tribute it to go into a boss monster. Okay, so now you essentially have like the 6 Artemis in a build for counter fairies. And then once you start activating those counter traps, you're drawing cards because the Artemis is effect. And then some of those cards can actually, like, unfortunately, you can't chain droplets to send that counter trap because it's of the spell speed issue, but you can send some of the cards that you've drawn to negate their monster effects with the droplets as well. So that's kind of super cool. Artemis will actually feed into the droplets if you were to need it later on. And then, like, the neat thing about it comboing with the droplets into all these is they're all decently weak attack, okay? I mean, these will cut off special summons, but this dies on a normal summon, and then this one has 1,000 attack, so it, a tour guide could crash into it even, all right? Nurse is 1,400, that's nothing, and Artemis is 16, that's like the best one of all of them, okay? And it's still not a lot. But if you do successfully get the droplets off, they don't imperm the witch or something, it's nice because then you have a out to be able to cut a monster in half, because not only does it negate their effects, but it slices their attacks in half. Okay, so that has definitely come in clutch a lot when protecting Artemis, as well as Barrier Statue of the Light, or of the Heaven, whenever you're just sitting there playing super defensive on resources and stuff, and they're just trying to punch through your outs. But once again, counter fairies, like Nurse Burner counter fairies right now got a new boss monster, like, or at least a new way to bring out their boss monster, as well as gain a +1. Some quick kind of like, these are neat cards, is the Melodious Diva. I'm horrible. But basically, if it's special summoned to the field, melodious monsters you control cannot be targeted by card effects or be destroyed by battle. Okay, so if you witch into something like this, it's essentially a wall on the board. It can't be targeted, or cannot be targeted by card effects or destroyed by battle. So it can be destroyed by card effects still, but it just kind of becomes a wall that your opponent really has to use up some resources to be able to get around, and that's always pretty fun. Once again, it's it's a hard card to draw into, but that's Yu-Gi-Oh right now. We got the Jester of Despia. Despia has been kind of like seeing, or like the branded like archetype's been seeing some play in the meta. So this card was actually, if I'm pretty sure, like Condemned, which was played at an event or topped an event or took first, and it searched the droplets, and then he would search into the Jester, and then if the Jester's normal or special summon, you can add 1 branded spell or trap from the deck to the hand. Okay, so essentially you'd witch +1 to the droplets, tribute at the opponent's turn, go into Despia, Despia +1 again. Okay, so that's a +2 off of a witch. That's insane. So that's the type of things that like Condemned Witch can actually like lead to. And then I believe, it does something like negating opponent's monster effects. So they just get all sorts of resources out of that one tribute. So that's cool. We'll probably be seeing it in some branded and Despia builds as well, but that's not quite what I focus on, but that doesn't mean it's not super good in that, okay? So then we have, obviously you can bring out like the counterparts of themselves, the counter fairies. So like during the main phase, quick effect, you can activate tribute. And then there's this one that's, if it's normal or special summon, you can take 2 Dark monsters from your hand or deck with different levels. Special summon one of them into the opponent's field in defense mode, and then add the other to your hand. So I believe that is an effect you can trigger off of it. Fun when you can go into, might not be like the absolute best, but still pretty chill. You can go into Cloudians, especially like the level 4 ones. So they bring up a wall. Not the best, but it's neat. Something like the Liberator. Honestly, this card is just kind of cool. That's why I just threw it up here. It's just a neat card. I feel like it's just neat. Like each time a counter trap is activated and resolved, you add 2 of your banished fairy monsters to your hand. This is gonna, like, that's gonna be something someday. Like, maybe not now, maybe not like whenever. Maybe the world will end, be something. Who knows? But like, that's gonna be something. I just knocked over some crap, but whatever. Ra's Disciple is pretty cool. Tribute the Witch, go into Ra's Disciple. Ra's Disciple will trigger summoning 2 more. You do with that what you will. Okay? That's awesome. Dark Honest, just cool. Bring it out, protect it, bring it to hand. Not the best, but then we got things like Ties of the Brethren. I threw that in just because like it was a cool little tech I was running in some of these builds, and also like Dark Fairies once again. There's not a lot of them, so they got to stick together. Okay, so if you ties out the witch, or like you got the witch ties out Dark Honest and a few other things, you can start popping off and going into a few combos off that. So just fun times. Um, Overall, do I think Condemned Witch is gonna be like some super crazy, like expensive card? Not really. I don't think so at all. We did see like a little bit of a hike on them near mint. First, it went up to 15s when the Despia thing topped. That's why you see some people posting it higher, but then they immediately dropped. They just started tanking. Like they're like 8s by like the next day, and then now they're at 5s again. So I don't know. What's sometimes it's direct is weird. I'm not going to mention that, but that's weird. And then as you see at the all versions one, there's two others. We got the maximum gold rare copy, and then we also got the common from the Egyptian God structure deck. So that's kind of cool. Maybe they knew that it was going to go with Raw's Disciple, so they threw it in there. That's neat. It's cool on them. But yeah, I don't think it's some super market watch thing. It could go up, but I don't think this is going to be some $50 something card. If it is, I'd be super happy, but I don't think that's where we're going to go. And then obviously droplets right now is kind of nutty. So we got that 50% going. So I was debating it. But yeah, and that's Condemned Witch. Super good for teching it. And honestly, I'm just going to give some shout outs to it right now on some lore pieces just because like how cool it is. Like I've been playing this in a few decks for a while now, and honestly, I fell in love with this thing. It is insane. Like I just feel so good when I like draw into it for my opening hand, especially in like Nurse Burn or something. You just get that droplets and immediately go into the boss monster. And like I said, people negate this thing. Like they like expected permanences to be going for this card. Okay. And not only that, but like by playing this with a few other cards, like I've learned like this archetype is actually like kind of sick. And before I go into that, I did notice down here, like I'm not gonna lie, that's horrible on me. And I don't know that we're doing one takes, baby. So okay, I'm calling this right now. In that bear statue build, like if you choose to go into like a lighter build, okay, with that, and you're locked into your lights, we do have good options between Utopia going into Utopia Lightning and stuff. We got Exciton Knights, and then like even if you battle with stuff like Utopias and your light monsters, Zeus is still light. Like Exceed, so you can slap that on top of something else and still have some good boss monster and control in a deck that you're locked into lights. Okay, so that's a throwback to that. But as I was saying, like I don't know, just kind of checking out the archetype. It's been a very long time running with this stuff. Okay, because we had like actually like with this archetype, it's kind of cool because they stretch into like the Forbiddens, obviously, and then they also go into the Solemns a little bit, as well as the Dark Lords. Okay, so it's kind of like the three most badass of each type. Like you got your like the best spells, you got the best traps, you got some of the best monsters. Okay, and I don't know, I just feel like it's one of the coolest archetypes around. Like absolutely, because like a long time ago, I think it was the Power Tool Dragon set, Force of the Breaker. If I'm no, wait, I don't know. Power Tool Dragon set. That's the one I know. Okay, I could probably like open a binder and look at this, but I don't care enough right now. Okay, so when the Forbidden Chalice came out, it was not like anything. Like some people would tech it. Like it was mainly in like skill drain decks and stuff like that, but like it was cool. So like ultis were like out there. But eventually, like as Yu-Gi-Oh progressed, like people realized like, oh my god, like negating monster effects pretty sweet. Like Effect Veiler was a good card. So I don't know. It definitely like saw more value later on, and that's why like ultis are just so sought after because it's almost like they were undervalued at the beginning. And I don't know. Little did we know this was starting a trend until Lance came out and they were like, wait a minute. Okay. And then they just kind of ran with it. But yeah, so we see like I mean, she's in heaven, okay? Because like I said, like it definitely stretches like with the Dark Lord and like the solemn archetype and like heaven with God and stuff, okay? So we got the main, and she drinks from chalice, which is essentially like the apple here, okay? And after that, I guess she turns her into a kleptomaniac, you know, and she just starts just going on the ceiling screen. She's like, "Oh, this lance is sweet. I don't know why it's by this tree. I guess I'll take it. Oh, this is nifty. You know, this is way better than what I have. I mean, let's be real, it is. I mean, look at that. It's fucking cool, all right?" But then she fucks up because she's a little, you know, it's too much the chalice, you know. She's like, I'm just gonna keep kleptoing away, you know, and then she tries to steal the scripture. And it ain't laying by a tree, okay? It's inside of a library. So as you see, we got, I guess, Yu-Gi-Oh! God over here, small G, and he's just like, oh yo, you know, I knew you're stealing some stuff. It's kinda messed up. So he ends up, you know, that's when we got Solemn scolding, and he's like, all right, you know, I know what you did. And he casts her out, and then he goes, all right, pimp slap. Solemn strikes. All right, and that's when she's cast out of heaven. And she turns into the condemned maiden, is all like corrupted and stuff. And life sucks, let's be honest, but she's still a light fairy, so it's okay. And then bam, that's when we get our girl, condemned witch, the dark fairy. Okay, she's like super crazy, super psycho, and I guess, you know, that's when she goes back and she's like, oh, pimp smack. All right, and that's when they got the whole retaliation, and she gets one back on the solemn judgment. So turns her into the condemned Dark Lord. That's kind of where we're at right now. And if I'm correct, we got her, if you notice, using the same cup droplets. I guess she had just a little bit left in there after getting crunk. And is using it to infect the other angels and turning them into Dark Lords in the kingdom. So it's kind of cool, and that's where you see like the red little veils when they officially go from like them to Dark Lords. And they definitely have been planning this a long time. If you see the two, the right wing and the left wing, are actually the ones who were on the right hand and the left hand of Solomon when he was there with her. So that's kind of cool. You know, that's neat. Little fun lore. I just think it's cool how they tie all those archetypes into one. But yeah. So guys, once again, if you're liking any of this or want any more, drop some comments down there. Where's there? Yeah, drop some comments. I want to see some comments. Share it around. Show your friends. And then we got a few other things. But most importantly, guys, stay safe out there. And definitely, okay? Have a good one. Enjoy some Condemned Witch tech in the deck, okay?